Hi guys, we need to talk about beauty and beauty standards. I believe that it is essential to promote a healthy image about ourselves, and this is a good enough reason to make this video. We can see at every corner people trying to look a certain way. Most of the time they're trying to look like this and look like that, and at the end of the day to look perfect. But what is perfect anyways? Or maybe a better question would be, is there only a way to be beautiful? I grew up with this image of beautiful being having clear skin, having big blue eyes, being skinny but curvy in the same time, having long legs, being tan but not too much because it's too exaggerated. And is it even achievable to have all these things? And if we do, wouldn't be all just copies of each other? I feel like all these things makes us lose ourselves, lose who we are, because the way we look, it's a part of our identity, and if we are trying to look like someone that we are not, we lose that part of us. Lately I've been coming across videos of models that were bullied for being fat, and I never thought that they can be bullied since they are skinnier than the majority of the people. I mean, let's remember that there were a lot of scandals with the big brands hiring anorexic models. One of the examples of models that were bullied for being too fat is Gigi Hadid, and I was shocked because she was really skinny even when she was young. I used to look up at people like them, and the fact that they were bullied, it was a shock to me because I never thought that people that are seen perfect by the society can be bullied by some people. And I think that should make us realize that this problem, it's not about us being bullied, but it's about the people that bullies. Because even here with models, that they work and they're trying to be perfect, they are images of beautiful, what it means to be beautiful. I think it's something wrong with the people who are judging, because for them nothing will be enough. I think what will make us understand how diverse the beauty world is looking back in history. There are countless examples of differences in history, and we can start even with ancient history, where you'll see how different some cultures were and what it meant for them to be beautiful. The first one, what it meant to be beautiful in the ancient history. The first example I chose is ancient Greece. If you were living in ancient Greece and if you were a woman, you were considered beautiful if you had pale skin, if you had a unibrow, which now it's controversial. If you had red hair, it was a sign of true beauty and it was something special. If you used to worship Aphrodite and if you wanted to have better access, let's say that she preferred curvier bottoms. Apparently, according to BBC, they also thought that shaved heads are really beautiful. Moving on to ancient Egypt, here what is interesting, at least in my opinion, is that both men and women used to wear makeup and all of them used to wear wigs. Also back then, facial hair was considered a sign of being unclean and dirty. Ancient China. Now, ancient China, it is really cute in my opinion. They used to prefer round, chubby faces. They also preferred small phoenix eyes, small noses, and small lips. They also wanted bodies that are neither too fat or too skinny. I guess something in the middle. And also in some dynasties they used to prefer chubbier women. Also in the Ming dynasty, small feet started to become a beauty standard. 2. These are some of my favorite parts from history. Here we will talk about the fact that not only Egyptian men used to wear makeup, but also men from other periods of time. Heels were firstly made for men, and also pink was a boy color. The origin of heels can be tracked down to the 15th century Persia, where men used to wear them to secure their feet in stirrups. Then they came with them in Europe, and men in Venice actually took this trend and started to wear high heels to seem taller. In the 18th century, both men and women used to wear makeup. They actually used to powder their face to look whiter. Also, as I said, pink was in the beginning a boy's color and blue was a pretty girl color. And it still is. 3. Now we will talk about kabuki. Japan Guide describes kabuki as an art which involves outstanding eye makeup, designed clothes, outlandish wigs. It is performed exclusively by men, and even if the character is a woman, they are trained to do this professionally. Now, 4, I think beauty is different around the world, and growing up I found that it has many shapes. One of them is scarification, and it is found mostly in the West Africa. Even if it doesn't happen as often as it used to, scarification, it's still a thing today. At least there are people who are still alive and went through this. This was a method to show your passage to adulthood, or to show your status in the group, or even to connect to a certain spiritual group. What I think it's not okay is the fact that now they are bullied for the way they look by the young people, or even people their age that didn't went through this. Some of them were forced to do it, and what is impressive, or it was impressive for me, is that this was something they used to be proud of, and people used to praise them for these scars back then, and now they're bullied for the same thing. This duality in society is not something new, but I think here we can see it pretty clear, since it's not a big gap between this. And we need to realize that this happens all the time. There will always be people who will praise you for something, and others who will bully you for the same thing. And yeah, it's not great. I hope looking back in history will make us understand how these trends change and how our preference change throughout years. Now let's talk about trends, because they can cause some real damage. I believe that the beauty of trends stays in the fact that it reflects the society in that moment, but it should never ever make us change. At least it shouldn't make us change in a bad way, change the way we look in that moment just because of trend, or just because it's not really the trend's fault, but the fact that some people take that image in that moment and try to push it on others and make them change, or make them to not feel like they are enough. As I was saying before, if we all are trying to copy the trends, we will end up being copies of each other, and I don't think that's a great accomplishment. And I think what I saw growing up, and what I still see now more often, is people pushing themselves a lot to look perfect. I mean, they are removing ribs, they are having plastic surgery that puts their lives in danger, they are starving themselves and become anorexic, or they overeat and put their health in danger, as I was saying. I think this is dangerous, especially when being yourself is the most beautiful thing you can do, and is the most beautiful thing about yourself. Sadly, I know it's hard because we always get suggestions about how we should look and what we should change in our appearance. The funny thing is that they never give us support when we need to change ourselves, and they never say that we need to change something in our personalities. I mean, you can hear like, oh my god, your nose is so big, but they will never say that maybe you have anger issues, or maybe your depression, it's not something that you should ignore. I think it's important to educate each other and support each other when we struggle with these problems. Don't hesitate to help your friend when they need it, and even if it doesn't seem like you are doing enough, I think it will make a difference at one point. Maybe even after some years, it will still make a difference for that person. we need to realize that these problems aren't about ourselves. If you want to change something, then do it because you want it, because you want this to represent more of what and who you are, not because someone is telling you that this is how you should look like. We need to accept our diversity and the way we look, because it's totally fine to be different. It's totally fine to be you. There are many things that I can say about this problem, and if you want, I can make a mini series about this and talk about different issues. But for now, I think it's important to realize, and I think the message of this video is that trends are changing. The requests of the society always change. Maybe in 20 years, it won't be trendy to be curvy. Maybe in 20 years, big lips won't be a trend. We just need to realize that being ourselves is the best kind of beauty. Now let's finish with a little montage inspired by TikTok, actually by a trend that I used to love and I still do.